guys? Welcome into another episode of Slightly Serious.
I'm Nick.
I'm Zane, and we fucking back.
We are back.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good.
Good.
Happy to be here again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And we still have our lovely landscape behind us.
Yeah. We're just gonna keep moving around, you know? We got a nice little room here we're allowed to use today for recording purposes, so.
Yeah, that is nice.
It's nice. You know, some nice lighting. It's nice and a little chilly, a little drafty, but
Yeah,
you know,
it
it's
is
fine.
pretty awesome here. I mean, it feels nice.
But hell yeah,
good.
brother. We just got done recording the footage for the next No One Asked episode, so
We did. We got
Got that
done.
going
We
in?
typically do that second, and then we do this, and then we do that. And
we
we're
had
always
to
like exhausted.
move
for
all
that.
this and then move it back, but
Yeah, it's all right. We're
Got
here
done.
again.
But we're doing here. He's out here pretending to be a day trader still.
Yeah, I have been. Well, you know, they limit your day trade. So, like I use Robinhood app. So, like when you're investing, you can only do if you do 4 day trades within 5 days, then it flags you. And if you actually do your 4th one, you'll be permanently flagged as a day trader. And once you're permanently flagged as a day trader, like you lose the ability to do certain things. Like for instance, if I make a trade, let's say I make $100 off of it or something, that $100 has to sit in my account for 2 days before it becomes available to me. And then I only have that $100 to use. So for instance, even if I cash out another $2,000 in stocks, that $2,000 in stocks isn't even made available for me to reinvest for another 2 days. I still am only working with this 100. So then you really can't. But as of right now, I could, in theory, sell something that's about to go down, cash out, reinvest it into something else all in the same day. And as long as I do that, it's fine. But if I buy and sell something in the same day, like buy Zomedica, sell Zomedica, you know, then that's a 1 day trade.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do 3 without getting flagged. And then you got to wait for like a couple days. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not like, I'm trying. I have a feeling that one day it will pay off.
Yeah, I think my
learning.
Robinhood has like 10 cents in it.
I'm not going to say how much mine has in it, but it's more than that.
I'm just curious now because you've been talking about it. I've had my Robinhood, like I've had it. I just have never like looked
The
back
thing
into
about
it.
investing, it's like, it's so difficult because you really do have to be able to read a graph. And it's like, no matter what information people give you, if you can't read a graph or a line chart, or you don't know how to read a volume chart and things like that, I mean, it can make investing a real gamble. And I mean, it's already a gamble. No matter what, it's a gamble because nothing is ever set in stone. And I've lost more money than I've ever won as of currently right now.
That's typically how it starts. Yeah.
But that is typically how it starts. And, you know, you have to have money to make money in the stock market.
I have 21 cents.
Wow, Zane. I'm really proud of you, man.
Bitcoin.
Oh, in Bitcoin too, which is worth quite a bit of money. And you have 21 cents of it. Wow.
Yeah, I think.
So if it goes up $40,000, you might have like 28 cents.
How much did I put into it? How much did I had very little into it. I had like
I put 1 penny in, and now I have 24 cents in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I
Investing.
I bought
That's what it's all about.
I bought $19 of it before, and I sold it for $21. I've fucked $2, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
I left a couple cents in there, and I have made 177% of that.
Here's my predictions, and I'm just going to kind of say it right now, but I'm betting you right now. Zomedica, 22nd Century Group, Castor Maritime, TNXP, Shiba Inu, Corbis Pharmaceuticals. Almost guaranteed all of those within the next 30 days are going to skyrocket.
Bitcoin is up.
Put your money in now.
$700 today alone.
Just wait. Little fluctuations, those happen. Wait for that big one. It'll happen.
Bitcoin's gone up $700 today alone.
Yeah, I mean, those coins right now are about to skyrocket. Shiba Inu for sure is going to skyrocket. I mean, they say Doge to the moon, but
66,000 Bitcoins at right now.
Yeah,
it was
but
at like
see-
11 when I was fucking with it.
well, the thing is, it went down. It was just at 90 some, so it went down because they did a Bitcoin halving. So basically, like the number of Bitcoin available, it's now been halved. So there's less Bitcoin even available. So now there was something that happened because they halved it that made everybody like sell it right away for a second. But now since it's reached this low, it's about to peak the fuck out again. So you're going to go from something that's 66,000 to something that's over $100,000 a share.
No, the highest it's been was
Go to the 5-year chart. And then go to you just click right here like this.
Yeah, I mean, this was a couple years ago. It was
But
like
it's even
60.
higher over here.
But yeah, it's barely, I can't even go that far over. But it's like
71,000.
Yeah, so it's gone down a little bit in the past.
But that's what it will like stay at. But when you look at the line graph, you'll see that it went up way above 71,000. It almost went to 90K. It really did though. Because go to the line chart, and then go to like
3 months. Yeah, high was about 74 is what I'm saying.
As where it fell though. You see what I'm saying? When you're looking at a chart that's that long ago, sometimes you'll see where it like fell and where it actually held at. And that's saying its highest price that it actually held for more than a day was that price. But there was a day where it started to boost itself very, very high at one point, and it even went almost as high as, and you can go, like, for instance, when you're looking at these, you can, Bitcoin's not the one that does it. Those ones don't do it. But like when you go to another stock, for instance, if you tap the other graph that shows like the 200 or 50 or 25 DMA, or 10 DMA or whatever they are, you can actually see like a huge breakdown of everything. And then the other problem with coins is they don't tell you volume. So like when you're on Robinhood and you're looking at volume on something and you're trying to figure out like how many shares have been purchased, it doesn't tell you volume for coin. So you'll just see the fluctuations. And although you have the ability to go into a live feed of it, even your live feed is going to be lagging because it's not going to show you another line on the live feed until a minute after it already occurred. It's not going to show you a line on the day chart until almost like 5 to 10 minutes after it occurred. It's not going to show you a line chart on your week chart until after the entire day has already passed and it's the next day. Then you'll see your real line. So a lot of times you're just like kind of guessing about like what you're seeing it do and what the next line is going to be. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
When you're trying to predict something, it's a lot easier to look at it in retrospect and go, oh, I see what it was doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I barely messed with it. Someone had given me like one of those like referral things where if we both like signed up, we both got like money to invest. So I just used that.
Yeah.
I never actually put much of my own into it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I will say, like, you know, Robinhood and these apps, they are kind of scams in a way because, like, for instance, they'll tell you they're going to give you free stock. Sometimes you can take it, but then you might as well just sell it right away because, like, a lot of times the stock they give you
is trending down or it's
maybe
not
trending up for
anywhere.
a moment or something, but it's going to either not go anywhere or it's going to go down really far or something. So it's like if you just, like, get this free stock and you're like, oh, cool, I'll invest a little bit more, and you don't know anything about it, that stock might lose you, like, crazy amounts of money really quickly. So it's like, yeah, you got something free. You just, I don't know, do your research, learn what you're going to do if you're going to invest.
I don't know shit about it, but
yeah, so I've been doing that. I mean, I've been reading lately, and
you always read.
I am always reading.
I haven't done any reading.
Well, you do your audio tapes.
I didn't even do that this week.
You didn't? So the last you listened to was chapter 1 of that?
Oh, chapter 2. I did both the first 2 chapters.
You did both. Yeah. I had just finished chapter 1. I mean, it's a little bit more of a...
I've
That's the
also
Jordan
read
Peterson.
the book before, or listened to it before.
12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about here. And it's this book that establishes about 12 different rules, and each one is rather intricate in its own way and goes into the science behind a lot of different things. And the one I most recently read and we talked briefly about last episode was... what was it called exactly? What was the whole title of it?
The first rule?
The very first rule, the full title.
Stand up straight with your shoulders back.
Stand up straight with your shoulders back. And basically it was not only about self-confidence, but it went into the neuroscience behind not only lobsters, but human beings and how we establish serotonin in our brains and things that may or not affect us in a way where if we don't establish a sense of confidence in ourselves and in a sense, stand up straight with our shoulders back, we are kind of setting ourselves up for failure and almost establishing our own personalities as like a lower class, not even in our own minds so much as in the minds of even other people subconsciously when they see someone who's hunched over or slouching or not assertive or not sticking up for themselves. It gives them, especially if they were, or have the predisposition to be a bully or were bullied in the past, to then think that that's okay to treat you in such a fashion or think that they can get one over on you. Whereas if you're someone who stands up straight with your shoulders back and asserts yourself and says it with your chest, say it with your chest, little boy, like that sort of thing, you come across as a person that can't really be fucked with as much. And people know you're going to kind of stick up for yourself in a way. And so the way you carry yourself can be incredibly important. And I do agree with that. He also went into a few little things about how, like, class and social status and everything like that, and
higher position in social hierarchy.
The hierarchy, that I didn't necessarily. I get where he's coming from in a lot of ways. Like you even said ahead of time before reading the book, you're like, you may not agree with everything, but just. Mm-hmm. And even one of the rules in here that I'll get to later down the road is assume that the person you're talking to knows something that you don't. Mm-hmm. So, I'm always trying to keep an open mind. But aside from that book, which I have been taking my time with, because it's kind of homework for me and not something I would typically pick up, started reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland again, and I have a pretty awesome copy of that. And we're just going to go straight into Nick's book corner right about now. Hey, so Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I got a cool copy here. I'm pretty butthurt, though, that it does not also contain Through the Looking Glass. Lewis Carroll, the author, who was Charles Ludwig Dodgson, wrote by the pseudonym Lewis Carroll, and wrote this book called Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And for those of you who are familiar with it, which should be fucking all of you, and if not, shame on you. But if you're not familiar with the book or the movie or even Alice in general, it was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, which are two separate stories. But it's Through the Looking Glass that actually contains the whole Humpty Dumpty and the Tweedledee and Tweedledum and the Walrus and the Carpenter. So that's not actually in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. That's pretty much just down the rabbit hole and the Queen's Garden and that sort of thing. Awesome fucking book, though. I actually started to read this last night. Again, I'm almost done with it. And I've been reading a book of letters by Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut is my favorite author of all time. I have a lot of Kurt Vonnegut stuff tattooed all over me, whether it's words from a book or his signature or his artwork. I am tattooed in it. And this is a book of the letters that he has written throughout the course of his life, starting in the 40s and going through the end of his life. And Kurt Vonnegut was a humanist, is the best way to put it. And even his books, which were incorrectly classified as science fiction, and he was not very happy that they were classified as science fiction, even though they do contain science fiction elements. He writes literature in a humanist sense, and ultimately all of his books and his letters convey just a sense of humanity in general, and that if there's one thing in this entire world that's important, it is people and other people and how we interact with them and the way in which we do so and how it has a drastic effect. And so that's really cool. It's just to read a book of the letters that he's written, and whether it be to his children or to his wife or to an editor or a publisher or a close friend. It's pretty cool to just how he would naturally, it's almost the same way he writes. It's very beautiful.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing, reading a lot of that. Here I am, just chilling, man, enjoying my time with you. What'd you do? Anything fun?
I had a pretty rough week at work. That was fun. It was one of those like series where like if it can go wrong, it will. Just a couple days like that where like I felt like if anything could mess up, it was messing up. Just had issues with like, the beginning of my routes and then breakdowns. Like I literally fought through a day and I was like, I'm finally going to get to park and get some rest. I'll finish the rest of the route tomorrow. I'll be good, clean slate. As I'm pulling in my truck, because I drive a truck, I was pulling into the truck stop to like park for the night. And the air lines on my truck broke down in the middle of the parking lot at the truck stop. Had to wait like another 2.5 hours for them to come fix it. Like,
what a fucking pain in the ass.
So it was just one of those weeks where I was just like,
That's not the first
frustrated.
time this happened to you this month, even, right? Or is it last month?
I've had breakdowns, like that stuff's whatever, but it's just like this was just like that on top of a bunch of other things that happened throughout the day. I got delayed like 3 hours earlier in the day from other stuff, and I just wasn't really like feeling my best. And I got back and I was sick for
You
like
were telling me you were not
like a
feeling
day and
well
a half.
because I was going to hang out yesterday.
Yeah, I was like sick for like a day and a half. One of those like I woke up feeling like somebody was like stabbing me, like in my
That's
abdomen.
what you said, yeah.
So I, had to kind of fight through that. I don't know if it was something I ate or what was going on, but it's just medical things are always fun. So that was just
Everybody
a rough
loves
couple
that.
days. But I mean, I took meds, rested a bunch, spent a little bit of time just kind of watching videos, just trying to relax, trying to not be too caught up on stuff, and just trying to enjoy a little bit of my time off work. Even though I'm sick, I tried to still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to get started watching the new Fallout show. I haven't sat down to start it.
Fallout, not based off the video game, right?
It's based off the
Shut
video
the
game.
fuck up, really?
And people that are some of the producers and stuff helped with the games themselves. So it's one of the few times where like a game adaptation to the big screen actually has people that worked on the video game.
What about Silent Hill?
I didn't watch or play any of that. So.
Was the video game Silent Hill after the movie? That's what I can't remember. Do you remember? I mean, everybody knows Silent Hill, but I can't, for the life of me, figure out if it was the movie that came first, or if it was.
Oh, the game was later adapted. So it was a
movie first.
no, it was a game first. The first survival horror game. The game was later adapted into a psychological horror film series.
Oh, I see.
It was a game first, but no, I played some Fallout before. I'm currently playing Fallout 76 is the game I've kind of been putting my time into outside of my typical Rocket League I play. So I've been doing that and having a good time.
You've been playing Rocket League again? I thought you stopped that.
I've been kind of dipping back into it.
For those of you who don't know, Zane is almost professional Rocket League status.
Nowhere near professional.
He wakes up every morning, pisses excellence. Okay,
Nowhere
kicks
near
ass,
professional.
takes names throughout the day, and at the end of the night takes a dump of success.
Absolutely nowhere near professional. I'm decent.
He's pretty good. He does like these aerial acrobatics in the air. He can dribble while he's flying with the ball. I've never seen anything like it. It's pretty
This was
intense.
a 2-day clip from the morning play session.
Ooh, let's check it out. Tune in. It's right here.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was
Mayfield scored. Wow, here he is from the top of the ceiling. Punts it with the nose. Corner pocket. Splooge.
like it's nothing fantastic.
Let me see one more. Let me get a good one.
I don't have too many.
You don't have any like saved scenes, like anything like crazy. Nothing nuts.
I
We
got
got
stuff
a
from
lot of
other
GTA here going on. you know.
GTA and
Here's his kill
game
cam
called
for whatever
content
that
warning.
is.
But
Yeah,
no,
so-
I've been playing games and stuff again and trying to enjoy like some of the time I have, and not just being super stressed all the time. But it's been fun. I said I want to watch the Fallout series. I've heard a lot of good things about the movie or the show. Like people saying all over the place that it's fantastic, and it's very rare where like a game gets adapted and gets good reviews.
Yeah, here's my thing though. If they're gonna do it, they need to be able to do the one thing that made that game as cool as it was.
The Fallout games
Yeah.
Which
What do you
was?
think I'm referring to?
depends. Everyone has different.
What do you
things
think was my favorite part of the Fallout game, if you had to guess?
Power armor.
No, it was like the way you could shoot somebody and then
Oh, the VATS?
target
So
exactly where you wanted to hit them.
So apparently, I'm see if they have any videos about it. I heard that they did a good job on representing it without like breaking the realism.
Okay.
So it's almost like I heard that they did.
Can you maybe even like, just for the people who are watching at some point, show an example of what I'm talking about first, as far as like what
So
it looks like when you attack
we're
somebody
gonna
in the
watch
game.
this together. It'll probably be cut because of copyright stuff, but we're gonna watch it. We'll keep talking after.
Okay.
Apparently, this is the scene that captures it.
Wow. Interesting stuff.
So like you see, like they did, like they couldn't do like the VAT system where there's like
Yeah.
it's showing all the critical spots and stuff, but it does the like slow mo and the gory explosions and like the specific parts he's hitting. I feel like
Yeah,
they did a good job,
As good as you can do without, like you said, ruining
the feel.
integrity of the film.
But like from screenshots that I've seen, like the power armor and stuff, they apparently did a fantastic job recreating and shit.
Really?
Yeah, like the Fallout series show power armor.
I do want to see a clip though of the actual game footage where you are able to target in on people, so that for reference. Yeah, I mean the power armor is it's armor, so I mean of course you can recreate that. You just that's just costume. The hardest thing to recreate would be the main part of Fallout. The thing that made Fallout, and aside from just like a normal outer world, or what are they called? What's the world? They're called what world games? Free world games?
Open world.
Open world games, yeah. I'm not a big gamer.
Yeah.
But, it made it different from regular like open world RPGs is the fact that you could target lock body parts and then just the viscera. Ooh. Boom. Headshot. Bro, was it femur came off? Oh.
Yeah, just blasting things. And it's
Yeah. So, I mean, you could you would zoom in basically. You had slow-mo seconds, and in your slow-mo seconds, you would zoom in and target a certain spot. Boom, gone.
Red Dead Redemption?
Honestly, I always wanted to play that, but I just never
system
got
where
it.
you could slow down time. It wasn't like
Because I love
it
Western
had the
stuff
specific part, but you could still slow down time and aim, and then he would just blast everybody down.
like that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a very similar idea.
Yeah, I really liked God of War. When I played video games, God of War was one of my favorites.
The original ones, yeah. I haven't played the two
Those are
most
so
recent
good.
ones.
I haven't played the most recent. Those look insane. Those look too cool for school.
Yeah. Then the GTA 6 got announced for the end of next year. That looks pretty sick.
Yeah, I don't know how you would one up GTA 5.
Apparently they've.
You can always do it.
I mean, you spend 10+ years making a game. You got plenty of time.
I
to
remember
do it.
when 5 came out, and I was just blown away. I was like, "You can't make a better game than this."
I was just coming out of high school.
There's no other
That's how
game.
long ago that game came out.
And it was the best thing there ever was.
I still play it.
There's still no one that really has a game that's. I don't think is there in the history of gaming. Is there a game as big as Grand Theft Auto? Is there a
Pokemon.
game any bigger?
Pokemon technically is a game.
Pokemon.
Yeah, I think as far
That's
as
the only bigger game?
because Pokemon transcends gaming. Because there's the cards and there's the animes and things like that.
But I'm just saying size-wise. I'm saying as far as like an
No, Grand
open
Theft Auto will
world map,
always have the records. That's
there's nothing that is ever bigger than that or more in depth ever made than Grand Theft Auto. As far as work put into a game, how much size space it takes up, how much actual play space, how much you can do.
Minecraft
programming.
is the only game that has sold more.
Okay. Sold more is not the thing though. I'm just saying
Yeah,
just
but
pure size of the game.
the size of the game.
Pure size of the game. Like
Oh,
what
there's definitely games that have bigger worlds. than
bigger
Grand Theft Auto.
worlds than GTA?
Oh yeah.
As far as even like what it takes to hold it space wise, like how big the actual file for the game is.
Oh, that's different. Call of Duty wins. Call of Duty's games are fucking disgustingly
Really?
large. Yeah.
Even bigger files?
But there's games like No Man's Sky, which technically has
18 quintillion planets to explore?
Yeah,
What?
it's procedurally generated game. So it's space. There's literally an infinite amount of it. And Minecraft is technically, it's theoretically infinite, but huge. Like when you're even looking at the list of like the biggest maps, like it's not even like top
Oh
10.
yeah, you're right. Holy shit.
35 biggest open world.
Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out. Even though that's a bigger map,
Mm-hmm.
the graphics that are rendered for the game, are they as high quality as Grand Theft Auto?
I'll let you see some of them. So, what was the one that was the No Man's Sky?
Because you actually have the ability to almost do anything in the game, and it's as big as it is. I just can't. I don't know. I couldn't like imagine something that would be programmed like that to this day.
No Man's Sky is a space exploration. So you're literally flying through space. You go to different planets,
Oh wow.
do shit. If I can find, I'm just go to YouTube. Fuck it.
Oh, and the graphic, it's not even like it's not like a shitty game at all. Like
No. I've played No Man's Sky a little bit, nowhere near everything it has to offer. I played it when it first came out, and they've just
we don't have energy drinks this time. I'm noticing that. I'm sitting here, I'm like, why am I already yawning? I'm not hyped on caffeine all the time.
Yeah.
Like usual.
So like, this is like one of the most recent updates.
Introducing No Man's Sky Orbital. The Orbital update brings a complete overhaul to space stations.
Overhaul.
Featuring new shops and activities.
That motherfucker looked like a
stations
Ninja
are now
Turtle for a
unique
second.
Yeah, but this is just
customizable
one
for
space station.
system, race, and locale.
And like,
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like definitely huge, and it's like graphic and everything.
yeah, so it's saying like, if GTA definitely for its time was huge, but now
No, they make.
it's
It's just how long do you think it would take to make something? If they have, how long have they been updating it? You know, I mean, something that size. And you're saying
No Man's
something's are
Sky came out in
automatically
2016.
generated some of these.
Yeah, like
What an algorithm just makes
Yeah,
more and
like-
more and more.
yeah. And you have the ships that you can customize and stuff. Then you fly out into space and can fly around.
So in theory, what you're telling me, Zane, this is even more scary than anything I think I've heard recently. Pause this. Is you're telling me that games can now make themselves.
To an extent.
So in theory, if we were to start doing virtual reality and people were to like almost as they already do, start living in their living room, playing video games all day long with a headset on, there could, in theory, be a game that's made that could just infinitely expand itself over time to the point where it becomes a world as vast as this one. I rest my case. It's pretty scary.
Oh, I'm trying to find footage of this for you. Video.
Well, footage. I mean, we can sit here and watch footage all day, but
But I'm saying, but
this
there's another,
podcast isn't being watched. You know what I mean? Well, you want to watch video games shit
Well, I'm
in your
trying
own
to show
time.
you,
Well, you
like-
can show me another day. We're on a podcast, motherfucker.
But like the Ghost Recon's another game that's big, but it's like realistic shooter and stuff. Like you're hiding in bushes.
Here's
Here's
something that's a realistic shooter for you. Here, catch this.
But so like this, like so games, yeah, games are crazy. Grand Theft Auto would definitely say for its time was like unprecedented. That's why like there's so much like they have such a high bar they have to reach with 6.
Yeah.
Because one, it's been 11 years now.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be great. It's just like, in my mind, that's one big fucking file. And to think that there are games out there that can automatically generate themselves to the point where we're already getting into an experience with AI and we're
Like
talking
so
about
they can generate themselves to a point. So like they can't like program like the actual gameplay and the footage, but like I saw a video they're talking about with like Grand Theft Auto 6 where like every building is going to be enterable, every single building in the map.
yeah.
And how they like kind of how they can do that is they can have files with pieces. So like there'll be mass files with like entities like a couch and chairs and things and that like that. So then like that room, when you enter it, all those things are already programmed into the game as like possible things that can be there.
Yeah.
And then random ones will be put in. So like that house will look different every time you go into it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's kind of how
To
the
me-
generating is. Like, if it's still a parameter it has to go within.
To me, a game like Grand Theft Auto that already gives you, I mean, even when BioShock came out, like these games that allow you to interact with things in a certain way, were already like, wow. And now you have the ability to, even in a shitty game, sit there and already feel like you're stuck inside of that, because you have VR headsets. And they're so real that even a game that looks like a board game, you feel like you're in, because even your peripherals are cut off and everything is entirely different. So once you start entering into a game through VR, something like Grand Theft Auto, where it transcends just a video game and becomes something that you're almost living in, even momentarily, where you're gratuitously murdering or stealing or raping or like anything that may occur, and now you're experiencing it through your own fucking eyes, it not only desensitizes people in a way they've never been desensitized to something, but on top of that, it allows you to live in it even more so than you already were. And what my fear is, and it's, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying these things aren't cool. They are. They're mind-blowing. They're supposed to be cool. They're supposed to be mind-blowing. But then you're talking about things like the VR and the Neuralink and all these different things that are occurring while all these things are becoming more and more and more realistic. I can only imagine psychologically what is about to start happening to human beings. I mean, we literally already cannot leave the house without going, oh, fuck, I don't have my phone with me. Oh, yeah, but it's not just my phone. It's my wallet. And it's my everything. It's got my email. It's got my fucking... It's got every... So it's like we already feel like shit when we can't even leave the house without our phones. And now when our video games become so realistic to the point where we even have the ability to live in them, pretty soon we're not even going to get out of our electronics at all. Like, there's going to be no reason to leave your electronics because that world's almost better.
I don't like leaving them anyways.
No one, I mean, it seems like almost most of the people I know that play video games cannot physically separate themselves from the game.
Yeah.
It seems like it's getting harder to do.
Definitely. And especially people that lacked a lot of social interaction growing up. And if like gaming is their only social interaction, then that's where you run into a lot of the social struggle where people don't know how to transition to like going in public and things like that. That's why a lot of people that play games like have agoraphobia.
Well, in my generation of video games too was different, because my generation of video games wasn't, if I wanted to play with my buddy,
you had to be there.
I had to be there.
Yeah.
I had to be sitting next to him.
That was both of us growing up. Like, I remember LAN parties playing Halo in someone's basement.
Now they don't even make games that you can play sitting next to each other.
TVs and consoles over so we could all do it. And then we were all hooked up to his internet, which was fucking struggling. And everyone had the little fucking box TVs and stuff. Or if you were split screening, don't look, man, don't screen peek, man.
That's real shit. But now when they make video games, they don't even make them 2-player co-op. You don't have the ability to sit next to each other and play it anymore. It has to be online. And in fact, you can't even buy a fucking Xbox or a PlayStation now
without
and
internet.
Turn it on without internet. You can't buy a device and start it without the internet. You can't have a video game system. If you want to play video games, let's say for some reason your internet stopped working tomorrow. And you
can play.
You wanted to go play a video game. Any video game of yours on your Xbox or your PS4 or anything.
Yeah, a lot of them.
If it's not already downloaded and you don't have a physical disc, you're fucked.
And there's still games that even if it is downloaded or you have the disc, it still requires internet to play it. Even if it's by yourself.
So if our internet were to ever go out, guess what? So do your video games now entirely. And anybody who has a Nintendo, you're fine. Nintendo will work. But that's it. Nintendo's the only one that will allow you to play.
I mean, there's Sega and things like that.
Well, Sega, but who has the Sega
But
anymore?
even Nintendo Switch, like
you can.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them.
But some of them still require internet. You have to look for games that say offline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can easily screw yourself over. I just remembered how bummed out I was when I got my Xbox 360 for the first time, bro. And I went home and I was like, oh, yeah. Or it was my Xbox One X. I think that's what it was. And I was like, I'm going to go home, my new apartment. I just got my Xbox One X. I'm about to watch my shit.
And then
I didn't have internet set up yet, and I couldn't even play video games. I was like, that's the whole reason I went and bought this fucking DVD player that also plays video games, so I could watch a DVD, and I can't turn it on. Mm-hmm. Fucked up. Yeah.
It's a rough... it is definitely a different world, especially since growing up, because I remember, like, no one had phones.
No.
Phones were new for us growing up.
No, I didn't have a phone until high school.
Yes, and even then, they looked like this.
It was a brick.
And you had to, like, tap the fucking numbers 17 fucking times to get a fucking text.
Brick.
Yep, the fucking brick. You could throw that bitch, run it over with your card. It'd work fine.
$20 phone would have lasted me 9 years back in the day. Right now, a $20 phone wouldn't last me 20 minutes.
If you can find a $20 phone.
Yeah, and you can't even find one. It's like $200 is the lowest price.
Yeah, it's technology is taking a crazy jump just in our lives.
Yeah, it has. I can only imagine what we're going to be able to see or what my kids are going to see. I mean, it's the same thing every generation after generation after generation says. They're like, oh, it's just this generation's so fucking scary for my kids. We just don't know. Like, it's literally everybody. Like, we just never know it's always going to change. Like, it's constantly going to be changing.
But the thing is, we also, like, what do people expect? To just live in the same and have no progression? That's the downside.
Well, progression does not necessarily mean technology. In fact, some people would argue that technology is our downfall and that we're not progressing by technologically advancing.
But there's like everything else, but technology has also helped progress our healthcare and things like that.
We think.
Yeah.
Just saying. You think technology has helped your healthcare, and maybe in some ways it has, but maybe in some ways it hasn't. For instance, like, did you know that when you go to see a psychiatrist, depending on your psychiatrist, they're allowed to prescribe you certain medication brands and certain medication brands only. So when you go, hey, I'm feeling depressed or anxious or this or that or suicidal, and they go, okay, I have some medicines that I'm allowed to prescribe to help you, or these are the medicines that I have the ability to prescribe. I've even asked my doctor sometimes, I'll be like, okay, but this has worked good for me in the past. And they've been like, okay, yeah, we prescribed this here for this one. And I'm like, oh, and I was like, why is that? And they're like, well, it's just the brand that we use here. So like, there's certain brands that certain hospitals use. There's certain drugs that like they are pushed.
Yeah, I mean, there's still
to give you.
That's less technology, and that's more of the political and capitalist side of it.
Part of the technology is based upon, what have we figured out as far as sales, and what is our technology figured out sales
outside of healthcare? That's not the healthcare progression.
Yeah,
healthcare is affected by a different progression, by the sales progression and the psychological side of that. So
that's what I'm saying. Is progression
but the
in
medicine
general
itself is the technology. Is a different
progression in general does not always mean healthy.
I'm not saying it is, but no progression is not healthy either of
Correct.
any sort. And
Correct.
that's what people are like. Well, I miss when things were the way they were when I was a kid. I was like, oh, you do? You miss when you couldn't contact anybody when shit went wrong, and you didn't have a phone to call when your car broke down? Like, when people like the blanket statement of, I wish everything would go back to how it was.
Yeah,
like you can't stay somewhere like that.
There's a lot of things that were better. Yeah, there's a lot of things that were worse.
Yeah, but it's the blanket statement that I always argue with, where everyone was like, I just wish everything would go back to how it was. I was like, no, you don't.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's good and there's bad always. It's that whole as above, so below thing. Like, everything evens itself out. So, there's going to be a bunch of just influx of things changing all the time. But ultimately, everything in the end evens itself out in some way. It's the same thing for the stock market. Like we were talking about earlier, like things go down and then they rise up and then they come down. And I mean, even if you were to make a zigzag pattern and you start to go like this and this and this and this and this, and you want to change the pattern instead of going up to going down, all you simply do is as you get to the top, your bottom line starts to fall too much. And then it starts to go like this until you're going in a completely different direction. So it's like, everything literally has to balance itself over time to some degree or another. And things that fall too far one way, you either completely fall out and fade out and fall away, or you revert back to a stage where you're thriving. And it's like, it's the same thing in life. Like when you start feeling defeated, and when we were talking about that one rule, like stand up straight with your shoulders back, like you can allow yourself to simply just like fade into the fucking mist and completely fucking deteriorate, or you can realize that like even a slight influx eventually will balance itself out and just continue to ride the current.
Because that's where I take the, like, you talk about like the social hierarchy and stuff. That's where I always took his, when he talks about the social status. Because yeah, if you're in a rough time, you're doing that, you can either let it defeat you and you stay there, or, and it's, you have to win the battle against your own mental, stand up, and figure out how to fix it. And then that's how you move forward. Because you're not going to get to the higher part of the social hierarchy if you just give in.
Yeah.
That's just how I, like, that's
I mean,
how
nothing's going to
took
be
it,
handed to you, you know? And like, even when like, nothing's ever just handed to you. Like life is not just like, oh, we're just going to give you handouts for the rest of your fucking life. Like that's not how it works. Like the amount of energy and time and effort and thought you put into something is generally what you're going to get out of it. And again, whatever you want out of life, you have to remain as single-pointedly fixated on as you want, as you can. Like, you just got to fixate on what you want and make that happen. And if it doesn't happen right away, it's not like, oh, it can't happen. It's just like, hey, I need to figure out another way to make this happen. Because again, like, if you're not learning from anything, like if you're doing things wrong, like those are learning mistakes. Like those are learning opportunities rather. Like every mistake you make is a learning opportunity. And if you're not taking something from it, there's like a really famous quote, and it's beware of the man who fails or something. It's like, beware of the man who fails and learns nothing, for he is filled with contempt for people who came about their ignorance the easy way, or something like that. Can you look up? I don't know.
What was it again?
Beware of the man who comes about his ignorance, or beware of the man who learns nothing from his mistake. He comes about his innocence. Beware of the man who works hard to learn something, learns it, and finds himself no wiser than before. He is full of murderous resentment of people who are ignorant without having come by their ignorance the hard way. It's Kurt Vonnegut. Now I'm going to read it one more time just because it's like, you need to let it resonate with you for a second. But beware of the man who works hard to learn something, learns it, and finds himself no wiser than before. He is full of murderous resentment of people who are ignorant without having come by their ignorance. What, you cut it out. But
There's the whole idea that failure is the best teacher. Just because
failure is the best teacher because it teaches us valuable lessons about ourselves and goals and resilience and patience, our perseverance, our humanity, our creativity.
Yeah, just because it didn't work this way, you can find a different path to get somewhere. Just because, okay, this path doesn't work, then you adjust angle. And that's what, like, so you just can't let you learn from your failures.
Like if you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, like,
that's just
and you're
chaos.
Still not fucking learning anything, then you're a fucking asshat. Like you have like at least gain some sort of insight, make progress over time. Over time.
Chaos is doing the same thing over and over again.
Insanity.
Insanity
is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Like you're just going to drive yourself crazy and feel defeated. Things because you're like,
I don't like that definition of insanity though. I think the definition of insanity is even a temporary or total permanent disassociation from reality. That would be my definition of insanity: is a temporary or permanent
insanity in the idea of
reality.
Psychology. Insanity in the idea of nature in general, not even psychologically, is just anything that does the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, you've clearly that's just an insane idea. Because if it's not working, it's not going to work. And to keep doing it again, thinking it's going to work, is
Okay, but hear me out, right? I'm going to punch this wall once. It doesn't break through. I'm going to punch it twice. It doesn't break through. And I punch it 3 times and my hand goes through the wall. I just disproved your theory.
No, because you've damaged the wall the first time. Just because you didn't notice it, it was damaging it.
But it's still, my hand went through the wall. I did the same thing 3 times, and the 3rd time I did it. If you, every single time...
But you would know...
If you lived your life by the theory that if you did the same thing every single time and you would never get a different result, you would never be able to succeed. Because every single time you fucking failed at it, you would go, oh, if I do it again, I'm going to fucking fail at it. There's no way I could ever do this again and get a different result. That definition of insanity is bullshit to me.
But because next time you do it, you'll do it slightly different.
It's not
You punch the wall and don't
necessarily.
succeed, you'll punch it harder the next time.
True.
You did it different the next time.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair thing. But again, we're talking a generalized statement that doing the same thing over and over and over
the
again.
exact same thing. As soon as you change any little parameter, then it's not the same thing.
Okay.
You learned from your fail and you changed. You punched the wall, didn't punch through. Okay, I failed. I had to punch harder. I had to punch differently.
Yeah.
I had to punch a slightly different angle. You changed something. You learned from the first failure and adjusted until eventually you punched through the wall.
I guess, in theory, you could also, though, do the same thing with the same amount of force. I could take my hand and I could punch the wall and measure the exact amount of force each time. And after each time I did it with that same amount of force, I would guarantee you that after numerous attempts at the exact same thing with the exact same force, that wall would break.
Because you would also know that wall is going to be getting damaged slightly.
Over time.
If you go find a solid concrete block and punch it repeatedly.
So let's say I am a runner. And let's say every day I have to run 1 mile. Now, I do the same thing every single day. I wake up, brush my teeth, I go outside, and I run the same distance every day, 1 mile. I do it the same day, exerting the same amount of effort until it naturally becomes easier, and I'm faster, and I'm faster and faster because my muscles grew over time, kept doing it, my legs got stronger. I grew over time. I'm more accustomed to the route. I'm not changing anything necessarily.
But you're also not expecting the same result.
My body's changing.
Because you're expecting to get better, which you are.
That's
So
also
again,
as
you're
well.
not expecting the same result.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing over and over again,
expecting to get better.
and you are getting better.
So insanity, you're saying, would be doing the exact
Doing the exact
same
s-
thing,
same-
the exact
yeah.
same way, and expecting an entirely different result.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you know, you're running every day a mile to get better at running.
Yes.
You're not just running a mile every day to be able to run a mile every day and no further, no less. Because you know you'll be able to run further. You're just doing it to build your stamina up.
So if for some reason I were to decide to run every single day for 1 hour, the same thing every single day, the same way, I would be an insane person just for doing that.
If you were expecting to get nothing from it. When you are running, you're expecting to be able to go further and be able to run it and for it to be easier and for it to not be as hard every time. If you went thinking it's going to be as hard every single day, no matter how much you do it, but you're going to keep doing it, even though you don't expect it, like you think nothing, that's where
So
it's
like I
insane.
keep thinking like, oh, if I fall down and I get up and someone pushes me on the ground and I fall and I get back up again and someone pushes me down and I get back up and someone pushes me down. If my thought is that, oh, if I keep getting up and he's eventually going to get so tired of pushing me down that he'll stop and one day I will be able to get up. But if you keep doing it going, I'm going to keep getting up and I'm expected. So I'd have to expect the same result. I'd have to do it the same way and expect him every single time to push me down and keep doing it regardless.
Where it starts to become hard to to define it right is because
That's why I don't like this definition of insanity.
well, it's because this is a very particular, but in nature, insanity is very rare because in this aspect because you are instinctively you change. something. If you're getting knocked down and every time you get up, you get pushed back down, you're already mentally adjusting to the fact, okay, if I get up, something's going to be trying to push me down.
Yeah.
Whether you mentally think that or just instinctively your body goes, all right, I'm prepared now. I'm going to get knocked back down again. So you're already prepared for it. So you're not getting up now thinking if I keep doing this, I'm going to keep falling down. You're doing it to wear down the person. You even said it yourself.
Yeah.
If I keep doing this, eventually he'll be tired. So now you're doing it with the idea of every time
I'm
he
just
gets
trying
more
to
tired.
conceptualize insanity then. If that's the definition of it, the insane thing to do would be what?
To just stay down, because then you're expecting that staying down is going to change the fact that you've been knocked down.
So
if you're
staying
getting
down would
knocked
be
down,
insane?
Yeah, because then nothing will change because you are now just down. But if you keep getting up and fighting to get back up, eventually, like you said, what's knocking you down will lose its energy.
I don't think staying down would be insane either, because you stay down, what if your expectation is that he might walk away?
Then you have changed what you're doing because you have a different expectation.
Exactly. So I'm trying to find an example of now something that would be insane. Because everything I've just said and tried to give an example of has been disproven as being something that's insane.
Okay.
So far,
Go
all
to a
we've
cliff.
done is improve what insanity is not.
Go to a cliff and jump off the fly with nothing to help you. And saying that you won't die if you're at the bottom. You smack the bottom. You didn't fly.
But
you walk
that's
to the back
not
of
the
top.
definition of insanity.
But no, I'm saying, you go back to the top of that cliff, you jump again. I'm going to fly this time. Smack the bottom. You get back up, go to the top of that cliff, you jump off. I'm going to fly this time. Smack the bottom. Nothing's going to change. You're always going to smack the bottom.
But you're expecting a different result.
The same, but nothing.
Doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
and
that's one of
expecting
the few
a
times where
different
that
result.
said, this is the definition of insanity. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is a common thing. Insanity is meant to be a rare thing.
Yeah, so
there's
like
always an explanation outside of it that defunks insanity, which is why insanity itself is such a crazy term, because it's such a rare truth.
It's only insanity if it doesn't occur then, right? You're saying the definition, they're saying the definition of of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But we just gave two examples of the same thing in different ways, one of which was insanity and one wasn't. In one case, I'm punching the wall with the same amount of force, expecting a different result, which I eventually receive, which disproves insanity.
Yeah, because
when you're jumping off a cliff, you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result that you're not getting. Or never achieve, right? Because you either die or you're unable to do it, or come back up, you do the same thing, you don't get the same result. That's insanity. But yet this over here, I'm doing the same thing, expecting a different result, and then I finally over time get it. That makes it not insane.
But would you?
But it was still insane for me to do it for the first 20 minutes. And after 30 minutes, it wasn't.
To this wall, or if it was a solid 10-foot wall of concrete and you just had to punch it till you punch through it.
I get it.
So,
But what I'm saying,
the thing is
I know that a solid wall of concrete, I can't bust through by doing the same thing. I get that saying.
Yeah.
I get that this is drywall and I can do
Yeah.
that. But what I'm saying to you is, if by the definition of insanity, I do those two things, one of which I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm punching a wall. All I'm doing, same amount of force, punching a wall. It's a wall that will never break. I'm doing the same thing over and over. I'm expecting a different result. The wall will never break. I'm insane.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing it to this drywall. I'm punching it. I'm expecting a different result. I'm insane. I'm punching it. I'm expecting a different
the
result. I'm
thing
insane.
is-
And then it finally breaks through. Am I no longer insane because it worked?
But that's where you have to decide what the limit of your action is.
Which is
Because
why it's
is it
impossible
every
to
individual? Is it every individual punches your action, or the fact of multiple punches will eventually break through is your action?
So, and that's all I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
is
'cause,
that you
go
cannot.
into it knowing
You
short
cannot.
of a wall of concrete, you could eventually get through it. Yeah, each punch might seem crazy, but you know as a totality, it's not going to be. But punching a 10-foot wall of concrete in that same manner wouldn't just end with your arm being disintegrated.
Correct.
So I'm saying, that's
But
what
by
I'm saying.
this definition, there's no concrete you can't like, it's not black. The definition of insanity is not black and white like that. Like you can't, because it's a theoretical thing, because you're dealing with something. And look at the what is the first thing? The first
Foolishness or irrationality.
Yeah. That's not even the real definition of it.
That's
the
the-
real
that's the
definition of
defin-
insanity
that's the
is extreme
dictionary
foolishness or
definition.
irrationality.
Yeah.
Inability to think and behave in ways
Mm-hmm.
considered to be normal and rational. That is the true definition of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
It is not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That is not the true definition of insanity. I'm sorry, it's not. In fact, that was originally coined entirely somewhere else, and then it was blown completely out of proportion and used over and over and over again ever since the publication of the video game Far Cry 4. Ever since that point, Far Cry 4, insanity has been labeled with, oh, it's the same thing, doing it over and over and expecting a different result. And it was way before Far Cry 4 too, when this thing was first said. But that's not the definition.
His definition is also, you have to take it in his context. Because his is more of the idea of...
Albert Einstein was the first one who said it.
Yeah. But his was more in the idea of, if you're doing something, like you're trying to, like his test, he's constantly trying to like learn new things and push the boundaries of, inventions or math and things like that. If you just did the same test over and over again, you're just going to get the same result. So you have to alter your test a little bit. Keep trying to find different variables to figure out how to get different results so you can fully figure out the test. Because if you, like you say, if you're running a test on something and you just do the same exact test every time, you're going to get the same result. You have to alter the test to see how the results also change. Else that test doesn't actually show you anything.
It can also be the definition of hope, though. You could say the same thing. You could say hope is doing the same thing and hoping that something else is, or like, I mean, not even like verbatim, but I mean like, it's just not. That's just not insanity. To do something over and over and expect a different result from it is actually, you're expecting progress.
Hope
by
is
doing the same
insanity.
thing. Hope, there is literally something here that says hope is insanity. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying, like, by definition, if you took that definition and you put insanity as that definition, then you would say hope is insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so wild that just popped up, because that would literally be so there's actually a thing here that is published articles saying that that hope is actually insanity.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And insanity is hope. Like, it's just like, I just don't agree with that definition of it. I think it's a very negative connotation of, I don't even think it's negatively connotating insanity so much as it's basically like, by using that definition for the word insanity, negatively connotating hope. Or like, and I get it. Like, sometimes I even am discouraged by hope, and I think like hope is foolishness, or like, but hope is also like prayer or energy, or like putting thought and direction into something.
Well,
I think that's what
the other
hope
thing is. Also, foolishness is just anything that is against the norm for the most part is considered foolish. Just because you're hoping for something that normally people will be like, that's not realistic. Just because you think it's happening, people are going to call it foolish.
Yeah, but
Which
just
is why
because you call
people will
something
call it
something
insane and
doesn't
call it
define
foolish.
it as
Yeah.
that.
Just because to you it's hopeful and like you believe in it. Like someone could say, doing the stock markets is a foolish thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you could easily say that. That's why it's
Yeah.
called the Motley Fool, is the
Yeah.
fucking main article thing for the stock market.
Yeah. So I said it's just so many definitions on, especially anything that isn't concrete, is such a relative. Like the definition of things is always going to change slightly for the person's perspective.
Definitely, it's all perspective.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
So I was saying, like his definition of insanity was based off of his
and
testing.
I'm a huge
and
fan
things
of
like
Albert
that.
Einstein. I really am, but I
But,
disagree with his theory of insanity.
But there's definitions of things you can take from one area and put them into a different,
You can do it for a lot of things. Yeah.
occupation or a different field, and they're going to not make sense.
Correct, because it is not only perception, but it is.
Because you could take that definition of insanity, put it into quality control for products, and their test is to do the same thing on that thing, expecting it to do something
It's
different.
circumstantial.
Yeah,
A lot of things
yeah.
are circumstantial, or
So, but it said so. A lot of things, definitions. We also accept definitions that fit our narrative. That's just how we are as humans.
yeah, and that's how the I Ching works too. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a a form of divinity, and it's like the Chinese I Ching, and you can do it with yarrow stocks or coins, and it gives you this hexagram that you make, and then you can reference these different hexagrams, and it gives you like an answer to a question that you pose, which isn't really a yes or no question, but it's like, show me the image of this, or
The magic 8-ball.
Not really, because it's not really supposed to predict the future, but give you insight. It's a form of meditation almost. It gives you insight into like how to then process what it is that you want, or in a way, and it like does word association and things that might resonate with you.
Hell yeah.
But that's what that reminds me a lot of.
That's called the
The I Ching.
The I Ching.
I Ching.
I Ching.
Yeah.
What
really cool.
would the I Ching say about what time it is right now?
It would say it's time for you to say hello to your mother for me.
We appreciate y'all. We'll get back. We'll have some more deep conversations. We never know where these are going to go. And so we fucking started out talking about his books and somehow ended up debating insanity.
Yeah. And things get heated every once in a while too, but it's like that's part of the
I
conversation.
might want to throw him out of my fucking house right now.
I hope you eat a dick, you piece of shit.
Schlong Along Incorporated.
Schlong Along Incorporated.
Well, we appreciate you. Love you. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your fucking people. If you're listening audio, do all the same
Definitely
shit.
do it. We're getting awesome.
And like you said, say hi to your mother for him and tell
Please
somebody
do.
you love him for me.
Goodbye.
Fucking love you.
I love you.